If you watch any amount of Barry Harris or Pat Martino, you'll notice that they are blown away by this relationship that dominants have to diminished chords. Like you can take C diminished, lower any note, you get D7, A flat 7, F7, and B7. And then they go out and build a whole mythology around that. I imagine them having a eureka moment, like a South Park character sitting at the piano telling themselves this crazy origin story about it, like
two scales of power were made. There are 12 dominant chords.
And 3 diminished chords to rule them all.
In truth, it all just comes from symmetric diminished, harmonic minor, and harmonic major, and today we're going to learn it all. Let's go. So the first thing we're going to take a look at today is learning how to use diminished to move into a chord before we put tensions on it. So here's a situation you see a lot in jazz. We're going to talk about 2 situations. One is a 5-1, where I would use half whole diminished, like G7 going to C. On that G, I can use this scale that goes half whole, half whole, half whole. And intervallically, it gives me the root, flat 2, sharp 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, flat 7, root. That's the scale. Now, when I break that up into 2 sounds, chord tones and tensions, the mistake would be to think about it like a G7 with 4 tensions. I could do that. Between the root and the third, I see the flat 2 and the sharp 2. Between the third and the fifth, I see the sharp 4. And between the 5th and the flatted 7th, I see the 6. All together. Now, why is that a mistake? It's not exactly a mistake, it's what's happening. But the way I'm breaking it up into 2 chords would be the chord tones of a G7, the 1, 3, 5, and flat 7, and then the chord tones of a C sharp minor 6. How's that make sense? Well, the C sharp minor 6 gives me those 4 tensions that I took out of the scale by cutting out the G7th. I have G7th and the notes A flat, B flat, C sharp, and E as the tensions. The flat 2 would be A flat, the sharp 2 would be B flat, the sharp 4 would be C sharp, and then that major 6 would be E. Now, when I see it that way, I'm really implying that I'm really using every note of the G7th to move to C. But 3 of the notes inside of the G7 are the ones that actually move in a cadence. The 3rd of G, B, the 7th of the scale, resolves probably up to C. The 5th is the 2 of where I'm going. It resolves either down to the 1 or up to the 3. The flatted 7th of G is the 4th of the scale, usually resolves down to the 3rd of C. But now, that root of G, it's the 5th of where I'm going. There's no motion there. So a better way of thinking about the sound that I'm using in the cadence would be to omit that G note and play A flat in its place. Now I have all of the moving notes as the center of the sound that I am using, and that is the point. Now, when I take this sound, that F diminished, and I'm saying, okay, that is a rootless G7 with a flat 2 instead of a root. When I take that sound, I ask myself, what kind of tensions can I get from that half whole diminished that I just had? Well, that's really easy to see, because if this is the chord tones, here are the tensions. I'm approaching every single one of them from a half step down. Think about the top diminished sound inside of half whole diminished. This is bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top. You know what to do with that, right? So I'm defining the top as the one that has a whole step as a neighbor above each chord tone and a half step below as a tension. That's the way to think about it. So let's take this chord and add 1 tension at a time from below. If I do it on the top voice, I get G7th to that F diminished. If I do it in the alto, I have D flat 7 to F diminished. If I do it in the tenor, I have B flat 7 to B diminished. And if I do it in the bass, I have E7 to F diminished. But if I take 2 voices at a time or 3 voices at a time, I still get really cool harmonies. If I take 3 at a time, I get B flat minor 6. any 3 notes I move from the diminished down a half step and back up will give me a different minor 6 or inverted minor 7 flat 5 chord. If I take 2 voices, I can either get a minor 7, check this out, or if I move different ones, I can get dominant flat 5s like this, or but before you even get to memorizing those as independent structures, think about what you're doing. All I'm doing is I'm making a sound that's going to go into a sound that's going to go into a sound. What does that mean? Well, this F diminished needs to resolve to C. When I take this E diminished, it needs to resolve into F diminished. It's kind of like a suspension. And then that F diminished is the dominant, and then it resolves. But the whole idea with all of this is to just prepare the sound. So when I do it, I'm thinking about just suspending the sound, preparing the sound, and resolving the sound. Kind of like a 2-5-1. Here's a 2-5-1. See what's happening in the inner voice? That's all that's happening here, just from the other direction. Preparing, pulling, resolving. Preparing, pulling, resolving. Preparing, pulling, resolving. Preparing, pulling, resolving. Now I can do it with 2 voices at the same time. 2. I can do it with contrary motion if I go a half step beneath one voice and a whole step above another. Check this out. Here's my F diminished. I'm going to go a half step below the alto, whole step above the soprano. See that? I can reverse that. I can go a whole step above the alto, half step below the soprano, from here to here and here. That's a 2-5-1. 2, and then on the 5, that's using all the voices, but I can use just part of them. I can go. There are many tunes that use diminished in another way. So instead of having this 5-1 where I'm using half whole diminished, what about tunes that I use whole half diminished in? I'll give you an example. Here's a really popular one. If I'm thinking about Dream a Little Dream of Me, the second chord, it goes from a C, stars shining bright above you. That's that classic Louis Armstrong Django kind of turnaround where it's 1, flat 3 diminished, 2, 5. So modally, now I'm thinking about this completely differently. The chord tones are no longer flat 9, 3, 5, and flat 7. Now I'm thinking about the mode as being 1, flat 3, flat 5, and double flatted 7, or 6, which is root diminished. 1, flat 3, flat 5, and that's 6. But even though I'm naming my intervals that way, inside that half whole scale, I'm still moving into that top harmony as the center. The top is always the center. The bottom prepares for the top. You hear that? You feel that? Great. So now, when I do that kind of thing, I can add tension. Let's check out that melody. It goes. What happened here? If I analyze it tonally, it's root 7, 6, and then it goes root 7. When I grab the first melody note, the root, I harmonize it on the 1 chord. And then when I go to 1 diminished, I'm harmonizing the 7th root 7th 6 against it. Well, that 7th against that 1, that's a tension from that diminished scale. Now I'm thinking about the notes of diminished around that 1, flat 3, flat 5, and 6 as its 7th, 2nd, 4th, and flatted 6. That's classic Barry Harris stuff, right? So the sounds that prepare me, the tension diminished, is giving me the 7th into the root, the 2 into the flatted 3, the 4th into the flatted 5th, and that flatted 6 into the double flatted 7, or the 6. But I can also think about neighbors instead of those approaches. I can think about 2 into 1, 4 into flat 3, flat 6 into flat 5, and 7th into that flat 6. Now, why is that important? Well, when I go and invert the harmony, those intervals are going to change. Meaning, right here, I can think about that as 7, 6. But what if I want to harmonize it on an E flat? Well, that's that flat 6 going to the flat 5. If I take those same notes and now I want to see them on a different root, on F sharp, now it's going to be that 4th to the flatted 3rd. And on an A, it's going to be this 9 to the root, right? On that diminished, I have. So as I go up the guitar, I can use all 4 inversions if I'm aware that the interval on top is changing on the diminished, right? And it looks the same, it's the same shapes, but you will find it in a different area of the arpeggio. So let's just learn that with Cage in a few areas. Here's the first area. Next area. So this allows you to put tensions on a diminished chord as the 2nd, the 4th, the flatted 6th, and the 7th, and use them in pairs, or 3 of them, or all 4 of them, to move into the diminished that's pulling. Now, when you take a look at harmonic major and harmonic minor, those are the only other 2 sources of tensions on a diminished chord, and they are good for supplying you with the half steps from above. Some diminished chords are going to have flat 2s and flat 4s. And those only can come from harmonic minor and harmonic major. And those are a little bit harder to keep track of in a sense because they're not symmetrical. Meaning, if I'm playing a sound that moves to a C major, and I'm using a B diminished to get there, and I'm calling that B diminished some kind of G7. I'm using it as a substitution for a G7. It's a rootless G7 with a flat 2. Now, what I'm asking myself is, what tensions are there if I'm using harmonic major? Well, that's really easy to see because it's just the triad of where you're going. It's that C major triad if it's from harmonic major. Meaning these 3 notes of C major are the notes I'm layering on top of that B diminished to get the tensions that come from that harmonic major scale. So it's going to give me these 3 sounds. I'm going to have a flat 2 above the 1 of B diminished. I'm going to have a 4 above the flat 3, and I'm going to have this flat 6 above the flat 5 of B diminished. And I'm not going to have anything in between its double flatted 7th and its root. Now again, I'm looking at what this is modally on the B diminished. So I have these sounds inside it. It's a little more dissonant. That's using the flat 2 on it. Here's the 4th on it, right? If I have, here's that flatted 6. Now if I'm moving to a C minor, that same chord now would come from C harmonic minor, and the triad notes of that C minor are going to be the tensions. It's almost the same. I still have a flat 2 above the root of the B diminished, but now I have something called a flatted 4th that I only have in this one particular case, in that last mode of harmonic minor. And check it out, it sounds pretty dope. You hear that? If I'm going from, oh yeah, flat 4 resolving to the flat 3 of diminished. Only happens in diminished. Now, how do I keep track of that, all that theoretical knowledge? Well, all I got to see is inversions of that diminished, and then use the chord that it's going to as tensions. So C minor, B diminished, C minor, B diminished, C minor, B diminished, C minor, B diminished. Cool. If you guys are curious about this thing, we made a whole thing about it on our Patreon, which is the best Patreon in the history of all Patreons everywhere. Europe, Asia, America, North America, South America, Antarctica. There might be better Patreons in Africa, I'm not sure. So please join our Patreon, leave a comment below to get a chance to win a free month on our Patreon. Join our street team. There's a link below to let your friends know when Marvin is coming to you. There's merch, and we'll see you next time.